Alright everyone, we start off today talking about Facebook, which, surprise, surprise, has decided that Trump's ban was appropriate. It's funny because Facebook's hand-picked individuals decided that Facebook made the right decision. But even then, Zuckerberg, I think, got the worst possible outcome, which is they punted it back to him and said, but there's a big rider in here. It was okay that you suspended Trump. It was the right thing to do because there was the threat of ongoing violence, which is bullshit, but it's funny. But we're not sure that a permanent suspension is what should have happened. But you'll have to revisit that, Mark. We can't do that for you. They punted it back to Facebook Incorporated, and oh my god, it's just so fucking funny. First and foremost, though, because we are on the topic of censorship, of course, with this video, there will be a pinned comment if you're watching this on YouTube with links to 4 other video hosting sites that don't algorithmically demote their content creators. If you're not on at least one of them, I don't know what you're doing if you're actually making videos, because YouTube is burying you below priority content creators. By the way, that includes those of you who literally camp out on the channel just to complain about my content, you're leftists and stuff. You're getting demoted too. Look at Xanderthal's post the other day, actually, about his subscriber loss. He's not wrong on this one. I've got to actually, the commie's actually correct. He's fundamentally right. If no one can find your content, and trust me, by and large they can't, well, you know, if you get a big audience, people close accounts, people unsubscribe, people get deleted by YouTube. If there's no new blood coming in, you're basically screwed. Now, number one. Is it censorship, a slap in the face to the First Amendment that Trump has banned on big tech? Yes. It's a slap in the face for any U.S. citizen to be banned from what is the de facto public square. That being said, first and foremost, when you're debating people who are like anti-free speech, don't just say my free speech, my First Amendment, because of course they'll just counter by saying, well, that only involves the government. Point out the deeper philosophical meaning of why there's a First Amendment. Because freedom of expression was considered important. The founders never envisioned a time when megacorporations, multinationals with ties, by the way, to foreign entities, would become the public square. Just like they didn't understand AR-15s would exist, but those are protected by the Second Amendment. They never expected that North Dakota would exist, but the 10th Amendment applies to the state government of North Dakota, not just the original 13 colonies. The right to privacy extends to your electronic communications that they never envisioned existing. So all of these things are not stuck in time. Remember, it's a living document according to what the liberals tell me, so, you know, let it breathe, let it live. That's number one. Number two, does Trump give a shit? No, I don't think Trump cares. Facebook is vestigial at this point. Back in 2010, 2011, if you got banned off Facebook, it was meaningful. And by the way, you actually had to do something significant to get banned. Now all you have to do is have a wrong-think opinion that Zuckerberg tends not to like. That means maybe you don't like corporate power. Maybe you don't like neoliberalism. Maybe you think globalism's wrong or that nations should have some degree of sovereignty. These are all unpopular opinions in Silicon Valley because these companies are voracious and tyrannical and they've corrupted themselves. See, they started out being kind of libertarian. Literally, Facebook spearheading many anti-free speech charges like against SOPA, PIPA, ACTA and stuff. When the government was trying to censor things in the Bush or even the Obama admin, they came out against it. They stood the line. Mozilla used to do this before they sold out. If you're still using Firefox, I don't know what the hell's wrong with you at this point. You're just a masochist. You're basically the equivalent of someone using Internet Explorer at this point. It's basically no different. Speed-wise or security-wise or free speech-wise, by the way. But Trump doesn't care. Then he sets up his own social media site, and I guarantee part of this is a joke about Twitter and Facebook censoring him. Because you can't interact with the content beyond sharing it to other platforms. Trump can get his word out, and people can share it to Twitter. They can share it to Facebook. And there's nothing that these other sites can do about it because the host is third party. Trump owns it explicitly. It's tied to his official website. So they can't censor him there because it's his own fucking website with full functionality to allow you to tweet it, to allow you to amplify it on these platforms. It's a troll attempt, basically. Trump's trolling Zuckerberg right now, and Zuckerberg's pissed, I guarantee, because he couldn't get his own safety team, or whatever the fuck he calls that Supreme Court of Facebook thing that he decentralized. He couldn't even get them to agree to give him the go-ahead, the A-OK, to permanently suspend the former Hong Kong. I find that funny. You've still got members of Congress that have completely decided to throw away their duty to defend the Constitution, like Klobuchar. She's like, well, why aren't you doing more against disinformation? AKA, why aren't you censoring more people? But who cares about Facebook? They're the least among them. Like, if you get banned off of YouTube, that can be meaningful. But social media is sort of a dinosaur anyway. The idea of social media in the sense it existed in the 2000s is dead, like in Facebook back in the day. You could play games. You had the ability to chat, either publicly or in private, and you had the messaging function. You had games. You had a million different apps, like little things to tinker with. I can remember the first time that I did anything on the internet that ever was what you could consider reasonably well known was some anti-war bumper stickers I made back around 2007 on Facebook. And tens of thousands of people had downloaded some of them. Back then, by the way, tens of thousands of people, because the internet was an order of magnitude smaller, that was a lot of people. Hell, when I had like 5,000 subs on Botany 101 many years ago, that was quite a thing too, because back then that's the equivalent of like 50,000 now. That was the first time that anyone was actually paying attention to what I was doing. But these days, social media is less than it was. Facebook at this point has devolved into Boomerbook. Basically, it's a timeline for you to pretend to make meaningful interactions with lamestream media news posts and posts by craptivistic groups that are allowed by Zuckerberg. They're specifically handpicked to be stupid, to be MSM friendly and PG-13. He won't even allow, I think, still breastfeeding on the site, but he will allow people to spread literal foreign state propaganda on behalf of China, which buys up your personal details if you're still using Facebook, by the way. You should go dark on the site. It's like, I have a Facebook account. I don't use it, but I have it because I've got a group there as a placeholder so no one else can pretend that they have the official group and pretend to be me, so to speak, because people, otherwise they'll message the so-called official group and it won't actually be me answering and they can defame me or something. So apparently this is happening actively on Telegram and there's someone posing as me there. I don't know, I should probably talk to Telegram about that because I can prove who I am, but as in neither here nor there because I don't have my own account yet. But Facebook is like, who cares? Who uses it anymore? Most people just use it as a messaging service. Like Facebook Messenger is still popular. Other than that, who gives a fucking shit? And then someone was pointing out when I'm talking about this on Twitter earlier, someone's like, well, he also owns Instagram. Who cares? Instagram is a place where egotistical people take 1,000 selfies through their filters or take pictures of the food that they did. They go on vacation, but instead of actually enjoying themselves, they take 10,000 pictures and tell people how they're enjoying themselves. It's all just an ego trip. They're not changing the world or doing anything meaningful. They're just getting their dopamine rush. It's pointless. Trump doesn't even own a fucking computer. So why would he care about Facebook? Facebook, the least among the social media giants, which is slowly dying off anyway. Look at their stock. Same with Dorsey. Like, Google's still the big player. Google and Apple and some of these others are still meaningful. Like, you get your app is banned on the Crapple store, people will still care. If you're banned off Facebook, who gives a fuck? People used to make all sorts of alt-sock accounts to just fucking troll people and shit. That's the only purpose to using Facebook. And it's like, Trump is very, very upset that he can't make posts that'll be algorithmically demoted and eventually get him banned again anyway. Oh my god, he's so sad about this. He's not even going to waste his time on the platform. If anything, he should just use his own social media site, his anti-social media blog page, to lambaste Zuckerberg and troll him, and know that millions of people will share it back out to that same platform, forcing Zuckerberg to host third-party content that deliberately and explicitly antagonizes him. Poor, poor dude. That's about all. Peace out.